Hey guys, today we're going to be learning about the area and circumference of circles. Give you a sec to write that down. Alright, so let's start with what these mean. So circumference is the distance around a circle. Kind of like perimeter. So think of it like perimeter. But we don't call it perimeter with the circle, we call it circumference. So think about you've got your circle here, and if you go from this point all the way around, measuring that distance around, that's your circumference. Okay? Area is the amount of space taken up by an object. Let's clarify that by a two-dimensional object. So think if you had your circle and you wanted to color it in or paint it, that area that you have to fill in is what we're talking about there. And remember, when we do area, our units are going to be squared. Just a reminder. Okay, circumference will be regular units. Area is units squared. So let's begin with identifying some parts of a circle. So we have our circle here. Here is our center, very center of the circle. If I go from the center to the edge, that distance is called the radius. Make yourself a note, from center to edge. And if I go from one side to the other, passing through the center like that, that is called the diameter. Show you, underline those so you see them. So diameter is straight across the middle. Be careful that you always include that center point. These, if you're going like straight across here, that would not be the diameter. It has to be directly across the middle. And one thing to notice is the radius is half of the diameter. So if you thought of extending this radius all the way to the other side, that would be another diameter. I don't want to draw it on there because then your notes will be funky. All right, and then one more thing we need to know about circles is this symbol called pi. It's just a Greek letter. Okay, and this we use to represent the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. And this ratio is true no matter what size the circle. So tiny circles, big circles, any circle, if you do the ratio of the circumference to the diameter, so the distance around to the distance across, you'll always get this number. And I'm going to put a wavy equal sign because we're going to say it's approximately equal to 3.14. And this is the number that we're going to use in our assignments. It goes on forever. This pi goes on forever and ever. It never repeats. But we always have to round to be able to use it. Okay? So we are also going to need a couple formulas for doing our circles. So let's get those out of the way so we can have those as a reference. If we want to find circumference, let's see. We can do 2 times pi times r, and then r is going to stand for the radius. Or you could think of it as c equals pi times diameter. Because remember, a radius is half the diameter. So if I multiply a radius times 2, I get a diameter. So these mean the same thing. If you happen to be given the diameter, this can be a quicker route. If you're given the radius, this is a quick route. You can use them interchangeably. And then also we need our area formula. So A is going to stand for area. And the area of a circle is pi times r squared. Remember when we have an exponent, this means r times r. Okay, we're multiplying by itself. And again, here r stands for radius. Okay, so that's our formulas. And now let's just practice using them. So example 1, we've got a circle here, and here's the center. And going out here, this length is 10 inches. So first thing we need to do is decide have we been given the radius or the diameter, and this is a radius. So I'm going to write that down, r equals 10. And we are going to find the circumference and the area. So for circumference, I'm going to say, okay, I'm given r, so I'm going to choose the circumference formula that uses r. So 2 pi r. And I'm taking out that multiplication sign because that's not really needed. When you put numbers next to variables like this, this means multiplying. So I put it here just to clarify, but you can just write it 2 pi r, and you'll often see it that way. So now I'm going to replace what I know. I've got 2. For pi, I'm going to put in 3.14. And for r, I'm going to put in 10. And you know what? I already made a mistake, because if I put in 3.14, that's an estimation. So my equal sign needs to turn into an approximately equal to, a wiggly equal sign. So circumference is approximately equal to, and then from here you could just use your calculator. 2 times 3.14 times 10 would give you 62.8 inches. So that's our circumference. And now let's do the area. Is pi r squared. So right now I have a regular equal sign because pi stands for that entire long number that repeats forever and ever. But once I replace this with a rounded pi, 3.14, I have to put in my approximately equal to. Now the radius is still 10, and we're going to square that. All right. So area is approximately equal to 3.14. And then to simplify that, 10 times 10 is 100. And then again, just use your calculator, 3.14 times 100, 314 inches squared. Remember, area, we have units squared. Circumference, we're going to have regular units. All right? So if you're feeling comfortable, you can try the next one on your own. If you want to watch another one, that's fine too. Okay, here our circle goes from the center to the side, and this length is 12 inches. Okay, so pause the video here and use the top one as an example, or follow along as I solve it. So again, I'm going to use 2 pi r because I've been given the radius. Our radius is 12. So circumference is approximately equal to 2 times 3.14. Remember, that's what we're putting in for pi. And our radius is 12. Plug it in the calculator, and I'm going to get 75.4 inches. Okay, for area, pi r squared. So area is going to be approximately equal to 3.14 for my pi and 12 squared. Okay, and I put that in, I would square 12 first, 12 times 12, then multiply that times 3.14, and we're going to have 452.4 inches squared. Remember, square units for area. All right, let's try another. So if you haven't tried one on your own yet, I would try this one. So we're given this circle, and here's the center. We have a line going all the way across the middle this time, and its length is 16 feet. That's a big circle. Okay, so first thing, pause and try this. Now you should be back checking your work. Notice that this is the diameter. So my diameter equals 16. So if my diameter is 16, what's the radius? What's half of that? The radius would be 8, right? Okay, half of 16. So when I go to do my circumference, I could do it either way. I could do pi times diameter, or I could do 2 pi r, either one. So circumference is approximately equal to pi, 3.14, times diameter, which was 16. So circumference is approximately equal to 50.3 feet. And then for area, remember that's pi r squared. Be careful when you plug it in. Pi is 3.14. Use the radius, which we decided was 8 squared, not the diameter squared. Okay, radius squared. And when you put that in your calculator, remember do 8 squared first, then multiply by 3.14, you're going to get 201.1 feet squared. All right, we've got one more. This one's a little challenge. See if you can do it yourself. If not, watch with me. Find the area of the shaded region. And we are given this as a rectangle with a circle inside of it. And the outside of this part, everything that's not the circle, is our shaded in part. We're told that the diameter of our circle is 10 inches. We are told that this is 18 inches and this is 23 inches. Okay, so pause, see if you can do it. I'm going to show you now. So first I'm going to find the area of just the rectangle. And remember, area is length times width. So this would be 23 times 18, which is 44. Oh, sorry, 414, excuse me. Looking at my notes funky. Now I'm going to look for the area of the circle. Remember, the general formula is pi r squared. So when I plug it in, I'm going to have 3.14 times, and what's the radius? The diameter is 10, so the radius would be 5 squared. Make yourself a note, that's the radius, not the diameter. And when I plug that into my calculator, the area of the circle is approximately 78.5 inches squared. Now, how do I find the shaded region? I know the area of the entire rectangle, and I know the area of the circle. So if I want the shaded region, I can just subtract out the circle, and whatever's left will be the shaded. So I'm going to do the area of the rectangle minus the area of the circle, and that will give me the area that is shaded. Okay, so again, I'm taking this whole area and I'm just subtracting out the circle so that I get what's left over. So the area of my rectangle was 414. The area of my circle was 78.5. When I subtract them, I get 335.5 inches squared. And given that this was an approximation, we would have this is also approximation because we didn't have an exact value. So the shaded area is approximately that. All right, so hopefully that gives you a good start. Let me know if you have any trouble with your assignment.